Learn from my mistake. Are you tired of hearing the same old advice when it comes to real estate? Do you want to learn from the biggest and baddest mistakes in the industry? Then welcome to Learn from My Mistake, the podcast that brings you real estate professionals from all over, sharing the biggest blunders and how to avoid them. I'm one of your hosts, Jake Remillard, and I'm joined by my partner, Marie Baginski. We're here to give you the inside scoop on what not to do in the real estate game. From brokers to investors, we've got it all. We're not just here to tell you about our guest failures, though. We're here to help you learn from them so you can make the right moves when it counts. So buckle up and get ready to hear some juicy stories and expert advice you won't find anywhere else. This is Learn from My Mistake. New episodes drop every week. Don't miss out. Learn from my
All right. So everybody, welcome to episode 10 of Learn from My Mistake. And I mean, there's no better way to celebrate episode 10 than with the infamous Carlos Reyes right now.
Yes, sir.
Super infamous.
Super infamous. I mean, you're a legend, Carlos. You are a legend.
You know, it's funny. Two things. One, I am going to pride myself in saying that I've probably committed the most mistakes, more than anybody that you've brought on so far. Okay? I know a lot of people made a lot of mistakes, and I know I'm reaching. But man, like, I have committed mistakes that has cost me millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. So that's the first thing. That's why people should stick around to listen, because my goal is to try to help you avoid those mistakes and that pain, or heal, like quickly just, resolve and move on and never do that again. Right. So that's the first thing that I wanted to point out. The second thing that I wanted to mention is, it's funny, I'm literally reading right now the book of Proverbs, and it's specifically the wisdom. I was reading Matthew. I'm like, they're gonna talk about mistakes. Let me go into the book of Proverbs, right? And the word wisdom comes up on chapter 2, right? Well, you know what you get from mistakes?
Lessons.
Wisdom.
Yeah.
Wisdom. What I consider wisdom is like, there's a difference between knowledge and wisdom, right? I feel like in the game of business, I have a lot of wisdom. I have a lot of wisdom, and you know what's funny, guys? I've always, guys and ladies, beautiful ladies, Marie.
Thanks.
I've only asked God for one thing and one thing only my entire life since I was 5 years old, and I've always asked Him for wisdom. I've never asked Him for riches. I've never asked Him for success. I've never asked Him to do, some type of crazy milestone or let me get a Ferrari. No. I've always asked Him for wisdom since I can remember. I don't know why. I do not know why. But at the age of 5, I remember me beginning, because you know how you can go all the way back, to, I don't know. You can probably, some people can remember when there were things that they were doing or asking, right, at 3 or 2.
Yep.
Mine started around 5. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I remember asking, like, this is me at 3, by the way.
Oh. I love that photo. I've seen it in some of your presentations.
This is me at 3, and that's my grandparents, and my mom actually wrote for me because I couldn't write at 3 years old, right? And it's funny, I kiss this thing every single day when I come in here. But what I wanted to tell everybody was, there's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. I feel like there's a lot of knowledge right now. There's knowledge that you can gain on YouTube. There's knowledge that you can gain from this podcast. Actually, no. I believe that this podcast more than likely is a podcast that will help you gain wisdom without having to make the mistakes.
Yep.
Right?
That's the goal. That really is. Yeah,
you can gain knowledge from, upsiders. You can gain knowledge from my good friend Dan Martell. Buy Back Your Time. By the way, guys, this is my favorite book this year so far.
Okay, I'll put it on the list.
This is my favorite book so far this year. I text Dan, the guy that wrote it. He's a great guy, and I texted him. I said, "Brother, that is one of the best books I've read in a very long time."
So
oh my
buy
God.
back your time in case you're listening and can't
Yeah,
actually
buy back
see
the
that
time by
book.
Dan Martell. And so anyway, so what wisdom is, right? Again, you can gain knowledge from all this stuff, right? YouTube University and stuff. But what wisdom is it only gained through experience. So what I consider wisdom, it's almost like internal experience. What I consider knowledge, it's like external, right? Like external experience. You know what I mean? That's the difference between wisdom
I
and
love you differentiating that straight off the bat, because that's the thing. I think in real estate, there's so many people that I've seen over the years that like join these mentorship programs. They're like, I want to learn. And they're getting all of this knowledge, but they're not even putting a property under contract. They're not even making an offer, right? They're not getting the experience. So they're not getting that wisdom that is required for you to get to the next step. And so I just love that differentiation.
And you know what? What people also, and I'm sure every single person that you've brought on here, right? First episode to 9, every single person that came on here probably said, I have learned more from my failures and my mistakes than I've learned from my successes. Yes?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Guys, my business partner is right here somewhere. I think, let me see. Oh, he's not there. They're in the boardroom meeting about something else, but this is what I'll say. My company spends an average of about $10 to $12 million a year, $10 to $12 million a year as an organization, $1 million a year in just real estate, the real estate operation. And then the other 9 to 10, right? 9, 10, 9, 11. It's distributed among like software as service, right? Medical company. We're jumping into solar now, right? We have all these different other like ventures that we're part of, right? But and I can tell you, like I said, you know, we've been spending all this money, and I can recollect saying the first time that I started spending 7 figures in my companies was back in 2016. And I can tell you this, collectively, I think now we have spent between, I don't know, 35 and 50, you know, 35, $47 million in the history of our journey as far as business owners. $1 million, by the way, right? Millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And you know, it's tough. Like sometimes I wish it's kind of a catch-22. Let me just explain this. Sometimes I wish that I would have paid for the right mentors early on. Right? It's a catch-22. Here we go. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I wish that I would have gotten the right masterminds early on. Sometimes I like I said, I wish I would have hired the right coaches, right? The right business consultants, you know, maybe attended school or the right training, whatever. But then again, on the other side, right, this is that catch-22 is what I know now. Mm-hmm. Because I learned it not through knowledge, but from experience. Yeah. Right? Because your company's, let's talk real, this is a real estate podcast. Your company, for, you know, what it's going to take, not only on the marketing and acquisitions and the systems and the processes, and the people, right? The personnel, what it's going to take for you to go from 0 to 300,000, it's going to look different from when you go to 300,000 to $1 million. Right. And then $1 million to 3, and then 3 to 5, and then 5 to 8, and then 8 to 12, and then 12 to 15, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Right now, right, I have nobody that was with me when I was making $1 million. The closest guy right now, we have one guy, right? One guy. Adrian, who is our sales director, his office is right there. He oversees our entire sales staff, and it's not even for real estate. It's for all in. It's for all the other, you know, consulting and all these other things that we got, right? He joined us in 2017. Outside of him, there's nobody here besides me and Sal. I have 2 CEOs that work for me now. One of them, Peter Bargreen, who is the CEO of my parent company, All In Strategies, right? Mm-hmm. And I have a CEO named Tim Scott, who we hired a few months ago because we're launching this franchise thing with Chris Crone.
Right.
It's called Property. So Chris and I are launching a franchise model like Homevestors and Keegley.
Yep.
Different though, right? Keegley has its own, unique kind of model, and then Homevestors kind of has a model, and then we have a model, nothing like Keegley, obviously, but we have a model that allows the investor to first and foremost acquire nothing but off-market discounted properties, right? Kind of like the way Homevestors does it, but we teach you how to wholesale, we teach you how to fix and flip, and we teach you how to buy and hold.
Nice.
It's very heavy on education. It's very heavy on community. It's very heavy on tech. You see, so it's the first model of its kind. So we paid a CEO of $250,000 or something like that to hire our CEO Tim Scott for that venture. So it's funny, but again, I have 2 CEOs that work for me. Praise God, right?
Yeah.
And it's these guys. So I'll give you Tim Scott. He's built a company up to about 84 mil annually prior to this venture. Pete, who's talking to one of my operations managers for the BPO company, which is Call Geeks, he took a company. He became a CEO in '97, and he took that company to $210 million in annual revenue. In 2021, he retired, cashed in his shares, and he had his beautiful dream home on the ocean in Seattle. He got tired. He got bored of being rich and being retired.
People do get bored of that.
And we found each other. And now the guy's 57 years old, has more money than Sal and I. And now, again, guys, I am learning.
Yeah.
I am learning so much at that level. And I've already made, for sure in real estate, by the way, maybe not in business, because I'm into all kinds of stuff now, right? I'm into private equity, specifically mergers and acquisitions. I'm in medical. I'm trying to get into care facilities, sober living. I just launched a huge solar education company, and we're launching our dealer this month. So I'm launching a franchise. Like, I'm into all kinds of stuff, right? So I don't know it all. I don't know it all. And nobody could ever say that they know it all. And I probably still don't know it all in real estate, but obviously real estate's what I've had for the longest, 10 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I've learned everything you can think of, from the marketing aspect to the acquisition aspect to KPIs to launching, fix and flip, which is, I call it asset department, from systems and processes and tech and automation and coaching. I've done everything you can think of in the real estate space, praise God, right? Yeah. This building that I'm in, we bought this building back in 2019. Again, but obviously there's super niche experts out there. Like, if you come to me, that's because you want to build a business.
Yeah. So Carlos, before you go on, let me just ask you a question.
Right? You want to learn about creative financing. You go to Jamil, you want to learn about his niche. Everybody, you go to I cannot believe multifamily. Oh my God, he's one of my good friends. He's such amazing. Tim, the multifamily guy. You know who he is. He's the biggest guy in multifamily right now. All right, we'll come back.
Yeah. It's okay. We'll come back. Somebody was just talking about Vina Jetty. So then every time I think of multifamily right now, I got
Vina Jetty. She's multifamily, raising private capital. Marjorie, right? Like, everybody has their own unique niche that they're really good at.
Yeah. So I want to take a step back because you talked about it even when Jake and I came to the office, a couple months ago. You talked about the whole firing kind of everybody and restarting with kind of W-2 employees, right? And you just mentioned what your company looks like going from 0 to 300,000, 300 to $1 million. It's going to be different along the way. So what was maybe your biggest mistake or just a lesson learned from that shift, right? That transition? Like a light bulb just went off. You had something you wanted to share, so I'll just stop.
Funny, I literally have mistakes in the first one. Look, mistakes, because I want to talk about, I think some of the biggest mistakes that a business owner is ever going to make is obviously hiring the wrong people.
Yeah.
Well, outside of hiring the wrong people, there's huge deal breakers and red flags, right? Like, there's huge there's pivotal mistakes that was that you guys, by the way? That wasn't me. Okay.
No.
There's mistakes that if you make these mistakes, if these mistakes are big enough, or if you make these mistakes long enough, you're gonna be out of business. And hiring the wrong people is one of those big. Look, money management is one, right? Like there's people that don't, hey man, I didn't even set up the right bank accounts, and I didn't account for 30% of I didn't put 30% of all my earnings away for taxes. I don't have enough cash flow coming in. There's too many accounts payable. There's not enough AR, accounts receivable, etc. Like cash is a huge one.
Yeah.
But the other huge one is people. And I've made both of them. So I made both of them at the same time.
Oh man. So which one did you recognize first?
Cash first.
Cash?
Yeah, cash first for sure. Cash it's very easy. You have to understand, when it comes to people, if you're like me, right, you always want to give people the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean, right? And you want to believe in them, and you look past. A lot of us look past because we're good people, so we look past the bad in people, right? We don't even see it. We look at the good things in people and the potential in people, right? And then we just want to. That's what makes us feel good. So we're like, you know what? We're just going to take that part and we're going to move on with that part. But then the bad part that we oversaw and overlooked come back and it bites us in the butt, right? So some of those early mistakes that I made was I don't think that I set out expectations and boundaries.
Okay.
Right? So when people were working for All In, I mean, if you look at it, they're all entrepreneurs in their own way now.
Yeah.
Right? Guys like, Pudney, who used to run all our flips for several years, I think he's doing his own thing. Brittany, who used to be in the finance department, I think she's doing her own thing. Guys like Tino and Randy, who were sales guys for All In, I think they're doing their own thing, right? Alex Ariza and Kane Sanchez and all these guys, amazing, by the way. I first and foremost, I'm grateful for every single one of them. Why? Because I used to be resentful. I used to be resentful because, again, but I used to be resentful because I was coming from a perspective and a position of a victim. See, I started to think of myself as a victim, like, man, I can't believe they came in here and worked for 2-3 years and they learned everything that I taught them, and then now they left me and they're doing their own thing. Yeah. Because there was first of all, you clearly weren't the right leader, and I've admitted that many times. I am a different leader today than I was several years ago.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wasn't the right leader.
And that's taking accountability. That's the only way to grow.
That's part of growing up, guys. That's part of maturing in business and personal. You just got to say, hey, it starts and it ends with you, man. It was you first. It was me. So I'm going to start with that. I wasn't the right leader. I became too close. I didn't have those boundaries, right? I wasn't professional enough. I didn't set the expectations, right? I didn't have all the things that a good leader should have every day, consistently.
Yeah.
Not like up and down, up and down, up and down. So first and foremost, we're going to start there. I needed to improve as a leader. I needed to mature as a leader. So that's the first thing, is we can all sit here and play victim, every single business owner out there. But at the end of the day, you did it. You did it because your business and the people that you attract are always going to be a reflection and an extension of who you are.
Yeah.
So I was projecting something that was attracting the wrong people, and then the wrong people would come in and they seemed to be loyal. But since I wasn't mature enough and experienced enough and wise enough, I didn't have the discernment to catch these things early and say, man, this person isn't loyal to me or the company. This person is loyal to his or her highest priority,
right,
which is money.
Their own motivation, yeah.
So, right? So first and foremost, that's step number one. Second, I wasn't the right leader. Second, I did not have the right infrastructure. Because if you want to start building your company based off departments, right? Like infrastructure, departments, systems, processes, not people. If you sit here and tell me, hey, what does your acquisition department look like? Oh, it's Jake.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Right.
Wait, what? Hold on. So what happens if Jake leaves? Do you still have a department? Do you have an onboarding process? Do you have SOPs?
Right.
No, it's just Jake.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's the closer. He's the guy.
Yeah. You don't have a department.
Right.
And then I'm going to ask you another tough question that's going to bring you to reality. All right. So Jake leaves and you get sick and you come down with something that has you in the hospital for 4 weeks, 6 weeks. Does your business go up or does the suffering go down? Or does it still flow? No, Carlos, my business will suffer pretty bad if I get sick or if I go on vacation. Well, Marie, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you don't have a business. You have a job, and you're the owner operator. You're the owner and the employee.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
No, 1,000%. I'll just throw this in there because we're talking about it, but Jake and I just hit a big milestone in our business. Okay. We've been wholesaling together for a whole whopping 10 months now, not even a year. And we just closed
I have
on our
kids that are older than 10 months.
I know. But wait a minute. But Carlos, wait, we closed on our first wholesale deal where neither me nor Jake made one phone call. We didn't do anything from start to finish. Our team locked it up, negotiated the deal, sent out the letter, did everything, transaction coordination with the lawyer, everything, start to finish. We didn't have to do anything. And it was like a measly little mobile home park, and they got a $10,000 assignment fee. So I'm
Beautiful.
like, woohoo.
Yeah.
The team, and that's all we've been doing. We've just been building a system and processes and updating them, refining them, tweaking them, making sure that, using like a book like Traction, right? How do we implement this and really build it so that it's not me, it's not him? But a lot of people don't do that when they start, right? I've had failed businesses and had to learn from them so that we could start this one the right way. But I love one other thing that I love that you talked about is really just not only being a better leader, but I think, hiring the right people with the right mindset, right? So you initially hired a lot of people that were in entrepreneurial mindset and really go-getters. Yeah, they were great salesmen, but like you said, they didn't probably have your core values. They weren't
in it for the long haul.
So how have you changed that to make sure that in the future that doesn't happen? Like, what have you implemented now, aside from changing as a leader personally? What have you changed in the company that other people could learn from and implement?
Infrastructure, we've incorporated. And it's a hybrid between flexibility and corporate America. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a little more lenient towards corporate America than it is, because we used to be on the complete opposite side.
Right.
We used to be, like it was a circus in here. Hey,
and work them when you got them. Yeah.
Made millions of dollars with no infrastructure, and what's funny is like we thought that guys, when we were teaching what we were teaching at that time, it worked.
Yeah,
it worked. But then it's just like anything else. Then you're in a couple years later, right? You have to remember, we're 10 years in. We're not 1 year in, 2 years in, 3. And we didn't start teaching till we were about 5.5, almost 6 years in, where we actually already had I remember when we started teaching, we already had a building. We had a building over at the Copper Point. We had 10 acquisition managers, 12 junior acquisition managers, all in-house, right? Mm-hmm. We already had we had a structure, but again, we just weren't in 2018. We aren't where we are 5 years later. You go and you shouldn't be, right? You shouldn't be, So
I think you said you went from like the 1099 structure to the W-2 employee mindset, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because good luck trying to tell a 1099, hey, I need you here at a specific time, and I need you to make specific amount of dials, and you can only have a specific amount of days off. You have no right to do that.
Right.
You have no right. They're not your employees. They're self-contracted. They're contractors.
Yeah.
Right now, when you have a W-2 and I'm paying a majority of your health benefits, and I'm paying a 401k and an IRA, I'm matching an IRA, and I'm giving you 2 to 4 weeks of vacation. Right.
Yep.
Well, guess what? Now I have the right to bring up some things to light. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the biggest difference, right? And obviously it's an evolution. The only certainty in business is uncertainty. Like where you are right now is you won't be there in a few months, right? And you eventually evolve to a real company, a real corporation, and you'll have W-2s, 401ks, health benefits, vacation, all that, right? And you're like, okay, I feel, because certainty to me, or I'm sorry, structure to me brings certainty. It brings certainty to my heart, right? No structure, circus, freelancing, guys, the person that just got that deal for you, they can quit tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
They can quit tomorrow and say, hey guys, I made, you gave me 20% of this deal. I made just enough for me to start cold calling on my own. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And then you got to go try to find somebody on social media to hire. And it's like, no, dude, if you want to build a real company, hire a recruiter, go to Indeed, go to WiseHire, go to Jobbing, etc.
Yeah.
Hire employees that want to come in, they want to do a great job, and they want to go home and take care of their families, right? They want to grow the company with you. Those are the kind of people that you want. And you know what? Let's continue down the list, by the way, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah, what do you got?
So there's three, from my experience that I've seen here, from hiring all kinds of different walks and different people, right? I know that employees, they want three things. They're looking for three things in their life. Actually, forget their life. Their life is one thing in their professional lives. Okay. One, they're looking for growth potential. Okay. So they want to see that there's a path to a career. There's a path to growing. Right. Hey, if you're hiring me as a lead manager, well, I want to be if you hire me as a lead manager one, well, I want to be an acquisition rep. So what would that take? Well, you got to become a lead manager 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you become an acquisition one. And if you ever want to be a sales leader, then you got to be acquisition 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you see, so they see the career, they see the potential, right? They're like, man, this year I want to promote 2 positions. Okay,
right.
Boom, right? So growth potential. Now, the second thing that people want is income potential. They want to know that if they continue to do the right thing and bring enough money to, keep growing inside the company, they want to know what that looks like monetarily, right? Hey, if I get promoted in 6 months, what will my base salary be then? What does my commission look like? What do my quarterly bonuses look like? Do we have any profit sharing in the company, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? They want income potential. Right. So growth potential, income potential. I'm actually writing these down with you. This is just from experience.
Yeah.
Right. And the third thing is environment.
Yep.
They want a culture. They want to come in. They don't want to hate their jobs. They don't want to hate their space. They don't want to hate the people they work with. You're not going to make everybody happy, but they want a healthy environment.
Yeah.
Outside of those three things, there's very little you can offer. Outside of those three things, those are very fulfilling components for any employee that wants to come in and they want to grow within the company. So those are some of the things that I've learned also along the way. I'll tell you something else that I learned. Entitlement. The moment you see it, get on it.
Okay.
A lot of the folks that that started with me or came into the picture around 2018.
Yep.
Okay.
3-4 years in, they're like, I need to be making $250,000 just because I was here when you were only making $3 to $5 million a year or whatever. You know what I mean? Entitlement. Oh yeah, you guys wouldn't have what you have without me. Oh, how much risk did you take? None, but you wouldn't. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Right.
Entitlement. The moment you see that, so entitlement turns to resent.
Yeah.
And then resent turns into cancer. And what should you do with cancer immediately?
Cut it out.
Remove it.
Yep.
Because what's going to happen if you don't remove the cancer?
It's going to spread. It's going to spread to all your other employees. So they're having those talks, right?
I've seen it happen.
Coffee talks.
Separate occasions. I've seen it happen separate years with different people, time and time again. We just went through a phase. We had a C-suite that we hired. Okay, this was a C-suite that we hired about 10 months ago. He was handling operations. He wasn't a CEO. He was a COO, Chief Operating Officer.
Okay.
And I think there was some negativity there towards the end. And there was some negativity there, and that negativity seeped into other employees. Because remember, especially when there's cancer coming from leadership,
yeah,
that can flow down very quickly.
Yeah.
Quick, like employee, it's like, okay, that has to this person has to like complain enough and gossip enough and be around people enough, and it slowly starts to seep and spread. When it comes from leadership, it's pretty quick.
You see that often in the military. In that type of an organization, you have a scheduled changeover of senior leadership. They're going to come in, whether it's 12 months, 18 months, or more or less. But yeah, if your senior leadership is bringing that negativity in, I mean, you can take an organization that is just firing on all cylinders and watch it just deteriorate rapidly.
Absolutely. And you as an owner, right? As an owner, you have to consciously see these things, and you have to move quickly.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have to move quickly. And you know what? I'll give you another example.
We lost Carlos. I think he closed his tab.
He might have.
Yeah, that was like the cliffhanger of the year.
I'll give you another example.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'll try and text him and let him know. You seem to have gotten disconnected.
Yeah, so while Carlos dropped off, just to kind of is he back in with us? No, while he dropped off, I'll recap a little bit for you guys. Some of the things that he was discussing was just basically the difference or the two. Oh, perfect. Is he back? Nice. Save the day, so I don't have to recap.
And if you hire the wrong people, they'll hire the wrong internet service. No, I'm just
I knew he was going there. I was like, wait, and something happened with the internet.
I don't know what happened. And by the way, I'm plugged into the wall, which is nuts. It's not Wi-Fi. This isn't Wi-Fi. I'm literally plugged into the wall. I can see the connection. So, okay.
It was the greatest cliffhanger, though. Like, Carlos, if we were like collecting like money for something, and you were like, "I got one more," and everyone was
podcast folks are hanging on. They're like, right? No, that's great. It's gonna keep them on for longer. All right. So another thing, obviously when it comes to the people factor, right, is you want to have when you have your departments, right? Yep. You want to have metrics and KPIs for each department, right? It's the only way that you're going to be able to measure productivity and performance in each department.
Yeah.
Right. So you're going to have it for each department, and based on each department, like let's just say all in, or let's just go to the acquisition here. We'll go to the acquisition, right? Let's just say you're like, hey, we want to make $100,000 this month in assignments. Okay. Well, how many acquisition reps do you have? Well, we have 5. Okay. Or we have 4. Okay. Well, that means that it should be bare minimum. Each acquisition rep should produce $25,000 in gross revenue per person. right? You see how you start to reverse engineer that, right?
Right.
It's like, okay, and then you hold the leader accountable. Obviously, hey, man, I don't care if you got to get on the phones, but that department needs to produce X amount of money, right?
Yep.
So then what you do, right? Because there's an old saying that says, hey, be slow to hire, be quick to fire.
Yep.
Right? Be slow to hire, be quick to fire. So then now you have these measuring tools, these metrics, these KPIs. That way you're not firing off of just opinion. Or oh, well, my gut feeling tells me that he's not a good employee. Well, let's look at the KPIs. Let's see
have
what
they
they've
been
been
making the number of calls they're supposed to be making?
Yeah, exactly.
Have they gotten the contracts they're supposed to get, right?
Viable,
I honestly
physical,
remember starting in business and people talking about KPIs, and I couldn't even grasp the concept because I was like a one-woman show. I'm like, I don't even know what I do. I do everything. What am I measuring? I'm measuring nothing, right? But then once you hire, I feel like that is the number one first thing you have to know, because even in order to hire, it's like, how do I know if they're doing a good job? How many?
You review the numbers.
And that's the only way to know is review the numbers.
KPIs don't lie. KPIs don't lie, right? So, and that way, whenever you're going to make a decision of, removing a team member, right? It's like, well, let's review your last, 30 days or 60 days of productivity and performance. And then you just say, okay, this is what it looks like, right? Man, it looks like you haven't even been making your salary. Right. So then you got to have that conversation, right? Of like, is this, are we doing a disservice to you and your family, right? Are we doing a disservice because you came here to make money? And if you're making money, that means the company's making money. But according to this, you're not even making the calls.
Right.
And if you're not making the calls, then that means that's a lack of commitment and effort, right? And if that's a lack of commitment and effort, then you're just not even trying.
Yeah.
And if
so how often are you having those kind of reviews? Do you have like monthly?
Yeah, we have quarterly reviews.
Okay.
But this stuff has to be. No, hold on. We have quarterly reviews. Those are employee evaluations, but we have weekly KPI reviews.
Yeah.
So every single Wednesday at 1:30, my CEO, right? This is the board. The board on my company is my CEO, me, and Sal. We're the board members. Okay. And what happens is we go into the leadership meeting on Wednesdays. The leadership meeting is different than our organization meeting. Like today at 10:30, we had an organization meeting. That's where everybody, like acquisition reps, sales leaders, all management, everybody's in the organization meeting. But on Wednesdays at 1:30, it's literally the board, which is Pete, myself, and Sal, and then the business unit managers. So every single company, right? Every single leader that's overseeing a company, like Maria Del Toro for NCO, Adrian Salgado for All In, right? Lisa for NMS, which is the medical. You see how Dave for Magnus. So boom, 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 boom. We meet with all of them on Wednesdays. They're called business unit managers. When we meet with them, we go over all the metrics in every single company. Yeah. And figure out who's doing what and who's not doing what. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're trying to we like to measure everything. And I'll say this, and this is why I said people are very important. It's a very, very important component. These are the two make or break use, right? People and financials, right? Now let's go over to financials. If you're flying blind, right? If you're going based off money in, money out on your bank account, you're going to find yourself in a world of hurt pretty quick, right? You want to be able to learn how to review your financials, right? Your P&Ls, your balance sheets, every single thing itemized, right? Yeah. And you want to look at your top line, your bottom line, which is your gross and your net, right? You want to look at all these things, and then you want to create a budget, right? You want to say, hey. So I'll give you an example. A budget. A lot of people have the misconception of what a budget is. A budget is not only the money that you have, but the money that you're counting on making, and then you're going to distribute based off of that. You get what I'm saying? So for let's just say May hasn't happened. Hey, Jake, our budget tells us that we got to do 10 deals this month. and each deal is going to be $17,500, right? So based off of that budget, what is that? 177,500?
Yeah, 175.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 175. So
Yep.
based off the $175,000 budget, right? Our payroll is going to be about 20% of that. Our marketing expense is going to be 15% of that. Our payroll is usually your biggest expense when it comes to operation costs, right? Our rent's going to be this. Our systems that we use, phone, CRM, it's going to be this. Right? So it looks like our net profitability is going to be around 37%, right? So if we did $175,000, right, 175, and we're keeping about 37%, then we're still taking home 64,750, right? Your salary is 10,000, my salary is 10,000. So now we just, we really netted $44,000, $44,000 this month.
Yeah.
So and then you obviously you do a forecast for the rest of the year, and then that's a budget, right? Now it's like, okay, based off what I plan on making, now you hold yourself really accountable to try to hit those numbers, because your entire budget is dependent on those goals. And you can have a stretch goal, you can have a goal, and then you can have a conservative goal, right? So maybe it's not 175, maybe that's a stretch, but what if you have a standard goal of 150 or a conservative goal of 125, and then you can go based off of that. So a lot of people don't understand that they really need to learn the financial aspects of any business in order to truly not fly blind, and in order to truly gain some predictability, some consistency, and some predictability. You know what I mean? So these are just things along the way.
In that area specifically on the financial side, do you have any things that you recommend? I know we started implementing like the profit first model, right? That was a great book just to give us a little guidance of like having those separate bank accounts. And like you said, budgeting for the taxes, the operating expenses.
So when you and Jake start crushing it and you want to hire the number one scaling coach in the business, you come to me and I'm going to teach you everything. I'm not going to send you here and here for you to spend money here. You come to me, and then my CEO, myself, and Sal will get with you and we'll teach you everything that you need to know. But since we're not there yet, right, you can start by hiring fractional CFO companies at like $300 to $400 an hour. There's a company called Uplink that I highly recommend with the Q. They do a little fractional stuff with my controller, Ashley, in my finance department. So, because you don't really need a CFO, guys, until you make like 20, 30, 50 mil, right? You don't need that. Not right now. You need at some point when you're making millions, you need a controller, you need an internal accountant, you need just a fractional CFO company like Uplink.
Nice. Thank you. All right. We have kept you for over 40 minutes. So, Jake, do you have any last questions before we wrap up?
I still got 12 minutes left. So you guys.
All right. That's fine. I want to make sure though.
I got 12 minutes left on my time. So you guys are good.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I'm really
enjoying questions, and I really want to serve. I really love what you're doing here. By the way, I'm not a big fan of many podcasts. I'm not a big fan. There's very few podcasts that I'll listen to, right? But I really like what's going on here. I think this is different. It's unique from all the regular podcasts. I love that. Learn from my mistake, instead of like a bunch of people just coming in here. Like, people are coming in here and actually they're being vulnerable, right? And they're telling, right? Instead of like, it takes like 30, 40 minutes when you put them on a regular podcast and they're just sitting there just talking about how great they are. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Which honestly, I love the fact that we like skipped your whole introduction. Anyone who doesn't know who Carlos is, if you're listening to this podcast, just go do some research, because his story is amazing. Just Google, right? His story is amazing. Immigrant. I love it. Like, I relate to it in a way. My grandparents were immigrants into this country, and I would literally listen to my grandmother tell me stories every night about them just getting citizenship and coming here. And, they weren't able to get that until my grandfather joined the war during World War II. They were separated for 10 years. She was still stuck in Italy and he was here. So
Wow.
And your story too of like coming over the border a couple times, right?
Twice.
It's crazy. So yeah, anyone who doesn't know Carlos's story, please just Google it. It's an amazing story. And I love where you've come
Thank
from
you.
and how humble you are too. I think that shows, just the strength.
Well, I have no choice, right? I mean, I come from the dirt, it's like, and plus humility to me, humility to me feels like gratitude, like honestly, if I can only imagine, like, and don't get me wrong, I think, growing up, I had like a lot of ego and it was needed. It was an unhealthy ego, right? It was needed because how else was I going to get out of where I come from if I didn't have an ego on me, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But
You needed it to survive.
Exactly, right? At one point, that ego no longer really serves you, right? You're like, damn, like my ego is a barrier between like feeling my family's love, right? Damn, my ego is a barrier. It's separating me from like people that love me and they want to, they want to build a relationship with me, right? So at some point, you got to get rid of that unhealthy ego that got you to, that got you out of the dirt and got you out of the trenches, and then you got to bring in a much healthier version of yourself that's going to get you to the highest level that you can ever reach, and obviously I'm still making my way. By no means have I arrived in any way, because man, I can't, man, it's exciting. Like all the stuff that God has in store for me, right? It's just, I think about it. I just got off a freaking stage in Vegas speaking for Brad Lee's event, like,
yeah.
Come on, dude. Like, I'm a kid from Mexico, like, you think I imagined that when I was in the dirt at 5 years old, with no electricity and no running water? No, obviously not. That's God. I didn't imagine those things. Did I ever imagine that I would be closing 2 shows after Ed Milet, right? My own show, Freedom, and then a show over in Atlanta earlier this year, right? I closed a show out there with Ken Jocelyn, right?
Nice.
He had like 20 speakers, and he's like, "Hey, brother." He's like, Ed can't close it. He has to leave. He's like, and I've been just thinking about who can close this deal. I got all these people, but he's like, I think you got what it takes to close after Ed. And sure thing, man, God delivered. You see what I'm saying? Like, and it's funny because God's so amazing, because first and foremost, when I get on the platform, I give God the platform. So it's no longer about me. Yeah. It's so much easier. It's so much easier, guys, to just like allow God to flow through you when you just say, Father, hey, this is your platform, I am your vessel, do as you will. Yeah. Then it's so much, I don't care if Ed Milet's speaking before me. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because at that point, it's not me, it's God, and God's been doing amazing things, man. So it's just been a great journey,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so grateful for you. I think the first day we met, I happened to be wearing like my Faith Over Fear shirt. I walked into your office, and I remember, like, I know it caught your eye because you're like, there's something about this girl right here. We met for a reason.
Your spirit, like I'm very, so I've done my absolute best, and I still do every single day, guys. I am committed, right? I'm committed to my spirituality, right? My connection with the Lord. So I can sense like beautiful, clean, light energy, and then I can sense like disgusting, egotistical, prideful energy, and I want nothing to do with it. With Marie, I mean, Marie, I hug you like you're like my sister,
Oh, I know.
Like when I hug her, there's no barrier. It's like a, like a hug like that, yeah. because it's easy, because you sense that good in her. And Jake, obviously, when you came down, bro, God bless you. I felt the same way about you.
Absolutely. No, I felt well received, and the same towards you.
And Marie, every time you've been around me, that it's real. It's me. I'm not putting up a show. Right? It's like it's beautiful when you're no longer operating in need, right? Yeah. When you're no longer operating in need, and you're just operating in like, hey, do I want to hug this person? Or do I need to hug this person? You're right. I
need to make this connection right now, but you're like, I really don't want to be connected to this person every once in a while.
Exactly. So I just want to say I'm also very grateful for you guys too. And Marie, obviously we run into each other so many times. You're everywhere. You're in every mastermind, right?
I try.
Do not. That's too much knowledge, right?
Well, but I'm implementing. Okay,
good,
and that's so tell me now at this stage in your life, like, what about that change? Like, you know, you went from, in your words, like being in the dirt, you built a company, several companies at this point. So what do you think is the next step for you? I know you're very spiritual, and that's always been a part of who you are. Where do you see yourself going from here? Like, what do you think God's put on your heart as the next step for Carlos Reyes?
You know, that's the thing, guys. If I was talking to Donnie Ruffin, by the way, you want get him on? You want Marie? You want me to connect you? I can get Ruffin on here. In my opinion, he's one of the biggest dudes in Texas.
Okay.
You know, he's one of the biggest dudes in Texas. It's a light skinned guy that looks like Drake. Everybody calls him Drake, right? He's a good friend of mine, and I was just talking to him the other night because he's a brother. He's one of those dudes that, like, you know, you know how like you come up with certain people, right? Like I came up with the Ryan Pinettas of the world. You know, I was trying to sell him houses back in 2015. You know what I mean? Came up with the Pace Morbies of the world. Obviously, you know that man, the dude paid $5,000 to come to my event in 2018 while he was having a baby. Like Laura was in the hospital having a baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you come up with these people, Jamil, obviously I came up with him. Like when you come up with these people, you just have a different connection. Like it's a connection that like it's kind of like the people that you knew like from your old neighborhood, you know? Because you come up like even though like Pace is a rock star now, Pinetta's a rock star, Jamil's a rock star, right? Donovan's a rock star. You know, I'm little me here just in my humble cave, right? You know, I'm joking, but you know what I'm saying. I love those guys. So anyway, they're rock stars, and it's like you have that connection with them because you guys saw each other build everything from the dirt, from the ground up, right? So anyway, I was talking to Donnie the other day, and I said, "Hey, Donnie," because he said the same thing. He's like, "Dude, like, bro, your growth in the last 2 years. I mean, geez." Like,
gosh,
we lost him again.
We lost him again.
Master of the cliffhanger.
We lost him
Greatest
again.
cliffhanger.
No. The good thing is it's not on my end, okay? I'm just putting it out there. It's not on my end.
Oh, okay. He's
so
back.
Funny. I'm just saying this is not on my end, okay? This is not my internet.
It says I'm plugged in. I don't get it. Anyway, I know, and you know what? Good. We're lasting about 30 to 40. So all in 5G, plugged, connected. Who cares? Let's get back to it.
Okay.
Check this out. So
Donnie,
he did the same thing. He's like, dude, the last 2 years, your growth has been stupid. Because, you know, like at one point I was like deep, like kind of big in the wholesale space, right?
Yeah.
And then I've been like transitioning into like, you know, general business, you know, like home service, solar, you name it. And he goes, I've seen, you know, and then like, not to mention like the speaker side, right? Like speaking on stages and growing the influence there and all that. He says, man, you're doing pretty good. You've grown a lot. He goes, what's next for you? I said, brother, for the rest of my life, I've committed to God. Like I committed to God fully in 2019. So when you commit to God fully, it means that I fully committed to being obedient, right? To being obedient to God in every aspect of my spirit, right? From lust to mammon, which is money, to you know, wrath, to, you know, everything, loving my neighbor. Like I just said, hey, Father, I've tried in my way for so many years. Let's try it your way. And as soon as I fully committed and commended my body, my spirit, my mind to God in 2019. I mean, my world started to change. So what I said was, if God wants me to give everything up and he takes me to some church in Alabama with 21 church members, and that's where God's going to have me, I have to trust God, and that's where I'm going to be with my family. So that's my answer for you, Marie. It's wherever God takes me.
Yeah.
That's great.
I love that. It's beautiful. And I know you've spent a lot of time in Sedona with the family.
I'm going up there Thursday again.
And what has that connection done for you and your family? Right?
So I go up there and I take my journal, and a lot of people think that a journal is one of those like, today I had spaghetti for dinner. That's not what a journal is. That's not what a journal is.
Yeah.
My journal is my ideas, my feelings, my excitement, my plans, my dreams, my clarity, my reflection. So when I go up to Sedona, that's exactly, I have my spiritual day, which I'm so grateful to have like a great leadership team, right? Because guys, I go up there about once a week.
Yeah.
And I go up there, by the way, I want you guys to know, I go up there for the following, right? I go up there, yes, I go up there because I will not hike down here. If I'm gonna hike, right? Because I go to the gym at like Monday through Friday, 6 in the morning, every single day. If I'm gonna hike, I'm gonna hike with the freaking view.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hike in nature.
Yeah.
Right. So I love hiking there, and it takes me about an hour and a half to get there. So I'm like, dude, I'll hike I'll drive an hour and a half to hike at this beautiful place, right? So anyway, so when I go up there, Marie, yes, it's to get a good hike in, but also more importantly, it's for reflection, it's for clarity, and it's for direction, and all that comes from just me being connected to the source, which is God. And that's when I get these downloads, and I go up there and I come back like with epiphanies of like, man, like I this is how I can become a better husband, a better father, a better businessman, a better servant to the world. So when was the last time? And it's funny, but I'm that kind of person, because as you guys know, like my superpower is this. It's this. It's like praise God. Like, yeah, I have a good sense of it. Like I have a good head on my shoulder, right on my shoulders. But my superpower is this. It's my energy. It's my love. It's my heart. Right. It's my, the way that my soul comes out of my mouth. You know what I mean? Like that's my superpower. Yeah. So I go up there, and it serves me so much. In 2021, I took a 2-week sabbatical. I was on the ocean at Indian Shores Beach over in Tampa for 2 weeks. Guess what? Tony Robbins takes a few 2 to 4 weeks sabbatical.
Yep.
Some of these people that operate with the same type of system, like biological system that I operate with, you do the same thing.
Yeah.
They do these things because it knows that if they do this for 1 day, it allows them to crush it for 1 month. If they do it for two weeks, it allows them to crush it for 2 years, right? Yeah. So when was the last time that you guys stepped outside of the box and reconnected and grounded yourselves and say, you know what? I need more answers. So I have to go up there and ask the right questions. So that's why I go up there.
I love that. And that's why we bought our place in Sholo. So I know it's the opposite direction, but one day I'll get you and your family. You can come hang out. We got 2.5 acres on a private lake.
Yeah, I love that.
You don't have the red rocks, but you have nature, and it's beautiful. So
I love it.
You'll come out and hang out on the lake. I love it. All right. So
how else can we serve your community today?
Yeah, Jake, I was just going to say, what's your one last burning question that you think everyone wants to know?
So I've been trying to think of that in the way that Carlos just asked it, and it's such a great way to phrase it is, how can we help the community? And I think the majority of the people that are listening to this, with it being a real estate podcast, especially them being a little bit newer, just with looking at what our target has been, I think the question that would best serve the community would be, from a real estate acquisition standpoint, because a lot of these folks are trying to get these deals locked up. What would be one of these significant mistakes that you see a lot of people making with their real estate acquisitions that they might be able to, flip that coin and make it a big impact?
This is great, by the way. If I was 10 years back in my journey, what kind of advice would because all I did was read a $10 book called Flip by Nick Ruiz. It was a $10 book. He wrote it, I think, in 2006.
Yeah.
Okay. I read that book and call it, how they say ignorance is bliss, right?
Absolutely.
The book told me, hey, go put out 100 bandit signs every single weekend until you get a deal. All right.
He's got that picture too of him with the 100 signs in his tree.
Yep. Hey, but you know what? I was willing to die for it, right? Yeah. I came to a crossroad of like, hey, I'm either going all in. It's funny, all in, right?
Right.
I'm either all in or I'm all out. Make a choice, dude. Make a choice. You've been talking about it. You've been thinking about it. You've been dreaming about it. what's up? Are you going to commit or not? Right? So that's the one thing I want to tell these folks too, is like, stop fooling yourself, right? It's like, are you in or are you out?
Yeah.
Because if you're in, this is what if you're out, this is what it looks like. Bye. Have a good life.
Yeah.
Have a good next 40 years. And then you're retired and you'll make the bare minimum, and you'll probably have to live with one of your sons, or you're not going to make enough money to even pay your rent.
Right.
I'm sorry. That's just the God's honest truth of what's happening today.
Yeah.
But if you're all in, right, this is what that looks like. You are committed fully. You are willing to make every sacrifice that you have to make. That means that you have to remove friends and family and naysayers and bad hobbies, right? And bad habits, right? And that means that you have to sacrifice going to the club, going to the bar, going to the gym, whatever. This is what it looks like to be all in, right?
Yeah.
If you got to dump your girlfriend because she don't believe in you, this is what it looks like to be all in, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going to be all in, then you're going to have to commit. You have to make the sacrifices. And guess what? Your work ethic, whatever it looks like now, I just want to make my little 8 hours a day. I want to work 8 hours, and I want to go home. I'll fix a nice little dinner, and I want to watch the basketball. I think the Lakers are playing tonight against the Golden State Warriors at 7 p.m. Great. Someone said Lakers. Someone said Okay.
Yeah.
Right? No, that's not what this work ethic looks like.
Right.
I've never been a multi-millionaire that didn't have and I'm not saying, guys, your work ethic is never going to change, but your amount of input is going to change as you begin to scale. You're not going to have to work the 60, 70 hours a week. At some point, it's going to be 40, and that's going to be 35 and 30. And then when you have your own business running the way this is running, right, then you can get to choose. If you want to, guys, I come in at 10:30. Today I'm leaving at probably after this podcast. I'm going to go watch my little baby at cheer practice. I'm going to go get a massage at 7 while I'm watching the Lakers versus the Warriors. Spencer, you want to come watch the Lakers? I'll be getting a massage in the living room. So, again, that's what my life looks like now, right? I'm taking Thursday off. Sal, I'm going up to Sedona Thursday. I'll see you. You see what I'm saying? So once you get
I'm gonna catch a ride. I'm gonna come hitch a ride to Sedona. Let's go. I'll meet you there Thursday.
But you see that's what, again, your input is going to reduce, but your work ethic, hey, what's needed? Sal, what do you need from me? Pete, what do you need from me? Right? Yeah. What does my company need from me to move the needle?
Yeah.
That's never going to change.
You got to put in the time in the beginning. That's the big thing. You got to put in the time.
3 years, 5 years, whatever it takes. But guess what? Would you put you're going to live about 80 to 85 years old. Would you put 3 to 5 years of hard work to have financial freedom for the rest of your life, for you and your family, and possibly the next generation, and the next generation, and the next generation? Are you willing to make that sacrifice? Are you willing to commit? And are you willing to put in the work for those for that time?
Yeah. Amen.
Yes, absolutely. Right. So for anybody out there listening, that's what it's going to take. Now that you've committed, this is the next thing. The first two big areas, the big departments, unknowingly, that you're going to have running and operating is going to be your marketing and your acquisition/sales department. That's how this machine's going to get rolling. Marketing, which is going to produce leads, and then sales, which is going to produce contracts. Those are the first two things that you probably have to concentrate on the first year for sure.
Yep. Marketing
and sales. You got to commit to those. And guess what? If anybody wants to actually step by step, I'm not here selling anything. Go to bestreibook.com, best, BEST, book.com. You'll get a book. I don't have one here, but you'll get a book that's called The Best Wholesaling Book Ever by Carlos Reyes.
Nice. I don't have a copy of that. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna sign. I'm gonna bring my own copy. Don't worry, I'll bring my own copy. You'll use your fancy pen.
We gotta stop in when I'm there in
I'm gonna either use the Mont Blanc that my beautiful wife got me, or I'm gonna use the Mont Blanc that Brad Lee gave me on Sunday for speaking at his event, right? Either one. And I'm gonna sign the book, and I'm gonna say, Marie, you're the best in town,
Yes.
and nothing's ever going to hold you down.
And Jake is going to be back. Wait, Jake, when do you fly in? You're coming back to Phoenix?
Yeah,
on what,
yep, I'll be there the
Good.
10th.
Well, come on down. But anyway, those are the first, for sure. Let me know, Marie. But those are the two things. Once you've committed, marketing and sales, right? Get good at marketing, whether it's cold calling, pay-per-click, RVM, SMS, direct mail, whatever you're doing. And then, since you're going to be doing the marketing anyway, and you're going to be spending the money, and that is the hardest part, you might as well track your KPIs. What's my cost per lead?
Yep.
Right? What's my lead to contract conversion ratio? What's my cost per acquisition, my cost per deal, et cetera, et cetera? What's my average deal size? Right? And then on the sales side, same thing. It's like, how many leads is it taking me to convert a cold call leads into a deal? How many leads is it taking me to convert pay-per-click into deals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? So that's what I would want. That's what I'm telling any newbie that's out there. Those are the two steps. It's like commit, stop messing around, and get on your sales and acquisition game ASAP.
Awesome. Awesome.
All right. I think we're going to leave it there. That's awesome advice. And you just went on your little preaching rampage. So it's a perfect way to close.
Thank you. I love that, by the way. I actually told my brother-in-law, Adrian, right there. I said, hey, you know what it feels like when I'm speaking now, when I'm speaking on stage? I said, it doesn't even feel like it just feels like I'm preaching.
Yeah.
I love it though.
Yeah.
That's literally like my style, but I'm okay with that, right? Because it's not even about me. I don't give a shit about me. I don't care. I'd rather stay home.
You get to just speak truth and speak from the heart.
I heard, thank you. I heard one of your children say, yeah. And I'm stuck.
Yes, right?
Jake's rooting for you.
Jake's little one in the background.
I got two under two right now, so it's a wild household here.
I love it. I love it, guys. Well,
2 under 2. Isn't that crazy, Carlos?
That's you know what? That's beautiful, bro.
He gets on our weekly calls, and he's literally usually got the baby in the carrier, so he's standing on the call. It's amazing. It's so amazing.
That's why he's been muting all day, huh?
Yeah, because he's got the kids in the background.
Hey, brother, I got kids. I get it. I got a 10-year-old and a 4-year-old.
My kids are going to get off the bus here in about 2 minutes. And,
all right, go do your thing then. Yeah. Guys, this has been Learn From My Mistake. Let's go.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We are going to bring you out to lunch when Jake comes in.
Let's go to lunch. Take me to Flower Child's.
I will bring you to Flower Child. It's one of my favorites, and it's right there.
And then I'll get you a signed book.
Okay. Thank you again. I hope everybody enjoyed this episode.
I can help, by the way.
Number 10. Reach out to us. Carlos, what's the best way? If people want to get in touch with you or learn more about what you do, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Carlos Reyes on Instagram. Carlos Reyes on Instagram. Yeah, I try to help, obviously, as soon as I can, as fast as I can, you know what I mean, to respond.
Awesome. And he's all in, guys.
Let's go.
All right, let's go. Peace. Thank you.